to the i24 News Desk. I'm Sarah Shalala. We're coming to you live right now from our Tel Aviv studios. Stay with us. We'll be taking the presser live right now between the two diplomats, our Foreign Minister Yair Lapid and Turkey's Foreign Minister Mevlut Cavusoglu. Let's take a quick listen to it right now.
They had their children from whom the Jewish people are descended. I don't want to scare your consular services, Mr. Minister, but according to the book of the books, all of us came from Turkey and we are all eligible for a Turkish passport. Mr. Minister, we won't pretend that our relationship has not seen its ups and downs, but we remember that Turkey was the first Muslim nation to recognize Israel back in 1949, and we have always known how to return to dialogue and cooperation. Nations with long histories always know how to close one chapter and open a new one. That is what we are doing here today. Following the Abraham Accords, a new partnership of strength has been created in the Middle East against terror, against attempts to undermine stability. In recent months, 19 Israelis have been killed in terrorist attacks. In the last such attack, 3 Israelis were slaughtered on the street with axes. We are fighting terror with determination, and we expect our friends to cooperate with us in this battle. In this context, I want to take this opportunity to thank President Biden and Secretary of State Blinken for their decision to keep the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps on the list of terrorist organizations subjected to sanctions. In recent months, Prime Minister Bennett, Defense Minister Gantz, and I have worked closely with the Americans on this matter, and the American decision is further proof of the unbreakable alliance between us and the United States, an alliance based on deeply held shared values and core strategic interests. Following this visit, the first by a Turkish foreign minister to Israel in 15 years, the two of us are expecting to see progress not only in our diplomatic and security relations, but in our economic ties as well. The goal is to form and expand economic and civil cooperation between our countries, to create business-to-business and people-to-people ties, and to leverage our two countries' comparative advantages regionally and globally. Even during the pandemic, and even in times of political tension, economic cooperation between our countries has been constantly on the rise. This past year, the cooperation reached an unprecedented scope. This is a welcome process, but we cannot settle. With good work, we can expand it much, much further. In our conversation today, Mr. Minister, we agreed to relaunch our Joint Economic Commission and to begin working on a new civil aviation agreement between our two countries. Beyond diplomacy, Mr. Minister, Israelis simply love Turkey. Every day, tens of flights depart Israel for Turkey with thousands of Israelis who love your culture and music, beautiful beaches, and colorful bazaars. I commend you on your visit, Mr. Minister, and for the fruitful, honest, and productive conversation we had this morning. Today, we're initiating a new framework for improving our relationship that not only we, but our children will benefit from for years to come. Thank you so much, and welcome again.
Thank you, Minister Yair Lapid. And I now welcome Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Republic of Turkey, Your Excellency, Mr. Mevlut Cavusoglu, to deliver your message, please.
Thank you. Let me thank Minister Lapid Yair for the kind invitation and for the warmest hospitality extended to myself and my delegation that we have been enjoying since we arrived. And let me also thank Minister Lapid for candid and frank discussions we had today at tete-a-tete meeting and as also at the meeting with our colleagues. And we agreed that despite our differences, the continuation of a sustainable dialogue will be beneficial. And this should be based on mutual respect to one another's sensitivities. This will be beneficial not only for our bilateral relations, but also for peace in our region. And today in our discussions, during our discussions, we also have exchange of views on regional issues, and I appreciate that. Working on a positive agenda can also help us to address our disagreements in a more constructive manner. Indeed, during the last Ramadan, the dialogue that we established at the heads of state level contributed towards the efforts to maintain calm. And we also agreed to re-establish technical meetings between our ministries and governmental agencies. I'm sure, as they did in Turkey, my Deputy Minister, Ambassador Sedat Dönel, and Director General Ushpis will take up these issues in further detail in the upcoming period. And as Minister Lapid mentioned, we agreed to re-energize our relations in many areas and to resume the convening the meetings of different mechanisms, as well as to resume talks on the civil aviation. And we will be happy to see flying your national carrier and the Israeli other companies to different destinations in Turkey, between different cities in Turkey and Israel. And our geographical proximity and complementing economies make Turkey and Israel natural trade partners, as you also rightly mentioned. Turkey and Israel are among each other's top 10 trade partners, and despite all the challenges like COVID and the differences between us, our trade volume has been increased constantly. And last year, our bilateral trade volume actually surpassed $8 billion. And I just look at the figures of this year, first quarter, it's very promising. Mm-hmm. And there is a record in our export as well. $1.8 billion export from Turkey to Israel by the end of April. Mm-hmm. And so we are determined to increase the trade volume and economic cooperation. It's mutually beneficial. And renewed political dialogue and technical contacts will increase these figures, we believe. And you just mentioned how much Israelis love Turkey. This is what I heard from every single Israeli since I arrived. And numbers speaks itself themselves. Last month, Istanbul as a city and Turkey as a country were ranked #1 among destinations for Israeli tourists. So we are hoping to receive more tourists in different parts of the city. I see that Israelis are, of course, they love Istanbul. They do come to my hometown, Antalya. But they are also interested to visit Black Sea cities and every part of Turkey, and we will facilitate that. And there are many opportunities in areas such as clean energy, high-tech, agri-tech, tourism, as we just mentioned, agriculture, agricultural products, and many others, I can tell. Of course, we obviously discussed the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. As you know, yesterday I was with President Abbas and Foreign Minister Malki. We also had good discussions with them, and we had extensive discussions with them on the Israel-Palestine issue. And we believe that the two-state solution with UN parameters is only the solution for a durable peace That's what we really want to see: lasting, durable peace here in Middle East. I also, of course, share our sensitivity concerning Jerusalem and the sanctity of Haram Sharif. We believe that normalization of our ties will also have positive impact on the peaceful resolution of the conflict. And as always, as in the past also, we played a very constructive role, and now Turkey is ready to take responsibility to continue to the efforts towards dialogue. And once again, thank you very much for the warmest hospitality, and thank you very much for candid discussions we had today, and looking forward having your visit in Turkey to continue our open and candid discussions and to discuss how to further our cooperation in many areas.
As long as the doner kebab is going to be involved, I'm coming.
Thank you very much, ministers.
Thank you.
Minister Lapid will escort Minister Çavuşoğlu to the car.
All right, we just heard there from the Foreign Minister, the Turkish Foreign Minister Mevlut Çavuşoğlu, and our Foreign Minister Yair Lapid there. Well, let's go to the scene now where our correspondent Pierre Koleshendler is standing by for us at the Israeli Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Pierre, you just heard the presser right there, just like Alec and I here in the studio. Both ministers did discuss cooperation and enhancing dialogue between the two countries going forward. What more did you take out of that presser, and what can we expect going forward as well?
Well, you know, the two hidden magic words we're missing in the press conference. First of all, the exchange of ambassadors, and second, the energy dossier, the gas that Turkey would like to be able to have the creation of a pipeline linking Israel and its gas deposits in the Mediterranean Sea to Turkey, especially during the Ukrainian-Russian crisis. These two words were missing. They enhanced the problems that they've been facing over the past 12 years, and also tried to give the impression that the relationship is being rebuilt. And indeed, this is one of the paradoxes of the situation of the relation between Turkey and Israel, is that in spite of a freeze of relations, I would say, and the many crises between Turkey and Israel, the trade between both countries has only increased, and Turks and Israelis are keen to develop that trade, to enhance it, to create more technical committees, as you heard. But again, the sensitivity of the Temple Mount, or Noble Sanctuary, which the Foreign Minister of Turkey will visit at around 3 p.m. this afternoon, and the Palestinian-Israeli conflict are two problems that Turkey would like to place itself as a mediator between Israel and the Palestinians. The Turkish Foreign Minister met, as he mentioned in the presser, the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and the Palestinian Foreign Minister Riyad al-Malki. They also spoke trade there. They also probably spoke about the relationship. Turkey wants, as it was mentioned in the presser, wants the creation of the implementation of a two-state solution based on the UN parameters. You have now the Turkish Foreign Minister, who is just leaving the Foreign Ministry, is going to the Astoria Hotel in Jerusalem to meet with the Israeli Tourism Ministry. It's interesting to mention that the Turks wanted to have also a meeting with the Israeli energy minister, but that was not agreed upon by Israel, because Israel wants clear signs of a thaw between Israel and Turkey, and one of the signs would be eventually that Hamas activities in Turkey would be shut down.
And also, Pierre, just in addition to the partnership you just talked about regarding trade, the two ministers, they also talked about tourism and facilitating that going forward, because apparently Israelis, it's among the first destination for Israelis to visit Turkey, and there's a real love and affiliation with the country there. So what can we expect going forward in terms of that facilitation?
Well, more tourism, which would be facilitated not only by maybe a greater volume of Turkish airline planes channeling Israeli tourists back and forth between Tel Aviv and Istanbul, but also the opening of Israeli airlines. As Mevlut Çavuşoğlu mentioned, he wants Israeli airlines also to participate to that tourism exchange between the people.
Hello.
Of course, tourism has always been more one way than both ways. More Israelis are traveling to Israel, to Turkey, than Turks traveling to Israel.
Thank you so much. Pierre Chandler there at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, bringing us up to speed with the latest there. Thank you so much. Well, with me in studio now, our Middle East correspondent Alec Pollard is here to discuss this live presser between the two foreign ministers and this very historical visit. Alec, so as Pierre was just discussing regarding the meeting between the Turkish foreign minister and Mahmoud Abbas, that happened yesterday. They did discuss the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, and also they decided that probably a two-state solution is the only solution to peace going forward. What more do you have to add to what Pierre just said?
Right. Well, first of all, it seemed like the meeting was quite warm. Looks like the two foreign ministers do get along to a certain extent, and that can go a long way as far as reaching agreements and moving forward with the relationship. Interesting from Çavuşoğlu there that we heard, where he talked about a new framework of the ties in the relationship between Turkey and Israel, starting a new framework. And what is that framework? At least from what can maybe be gleaned between the lines, is an increased economic partnership. There already is quite a significant economic partnership, despite the disagreements in trade, tourism, and other issues. And also, in order to receive that, maybe from Turkey, for Turkey to get that from Israel, that means backing off a little bit on the Palestinian issue. We've seen how, especially President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has lashed out very, very aggressively against Israel on every issue that happens with the Palestinians, and that is one of the things that has brought the relationship very much downward. So this new framework will mean cooperating a lot on those economic issues, and we saw how much he talked about tourism and trade. There's a reason for that, because that is an area where the two sides have a very robust relationship already and can continue to develop, while backing off slightly from the Palestinian issue, although, of course, the Turks have to still, because of the public opinion there and because of the current position of the government, still show a significant amount of support for the Palestinians by first visiting Ramallah before coming to visit Israel. That's something that's slightly unusual. Usually the trip starts in Israel and then goes to Ramallah. Not in this case. And also stating there quite openly, look, we have disagreements, and stating their position, two-state solution, East Jerusalem, talking about resolving the Palestinian conflict. So putting it out there and kind of trying again to walk both sides here, as we saw already earlier, as we spoke about during the meeting with Abbas, saying the two things are independent. We know that's not exactly possible. You cannot have an independent relationship with Israel and the Palestinian Authority and Hamas. All those things are tied together, but the most likely way of doing that is by pursuing an economic relationship with Israel. And I think that's the main goal here for the Turks because of the dire economic situation in Turkey. That's something that is a threat to Erdogan's rule in Turkey, that he could be replaced in an election there potentially. And that is something where, in a place where the sides can make progress.
And just a really important point that Yair Lapid also made was that no matter the strained relationships between the two countries over the years, they just know how to return to dialogue and close one chapter and then reopen another one so quickly. So what did What's your take on that?
Well, I don't know, because that hasn't exactly been the case in the last 12 years since the Navi Marmara, the famous Navi Marmara incident. Yes, there have been downs, and then there have been kind of attempts to mend the ties, but it hasn't been that successful. So I think what Lapid is doing there is he's trying to make that the case now, to say, look, we had our ups and downs, more downs than ups in recent years. Let's go back to the ups and continue to have a good relationship. The problem is that it's hard to do that with the current Turkish government and Recep Tayyip Erdogan, who is a man of the Muslim Brotherhood. That is his ideologically where he sits. That's one of the reasons why they support Hamas, who come from the same ideological brand. And basically, this is a concession from Erdogan and his government. He realizes he needs economic progress. He needs to mend ties with regional players like Israel, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, and the United Arab Emirates. And he has to basically give up on some of those things in order to get the economic partnerships that he needs.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Our Middle East correspondent, Alec Pollard, joining me in studio and giving us the latest there. Well, that's it for now from the news desk. We are bringing you more of the latest news from across this region and around the globe. For now, you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. We're also online. I'm Sarah Shalala, and thank you for joining us.